Hey guys, and welcome to part 2, which is inequalities. So here we've got some inequalities. They're basically things that are not equal. So that's going to be less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. So we've got those four. So those are going to basically be making up our equations. Now let's solve a couple of these inequalities. Here we have a problem. 3x plus 9 is greater than 18. So how do we solve this inequality? Well, we can start by simplifying. So we can actually subtract 9 from both sides, and we'll get 3x is greater than 9. So 3x is greater than 9, and now we can divide both sides by 3 to get the x by itself, and that will give us x is greater than 3. And now that we have x is greater than 3, we know that 3 could be anything from 3.00000001 all the way up to infinity. So here we've got our inequality on the number line. So we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got a little circle here on 3 that is not solid. If it was solid, then we would know that it would be including 3, but since it's not solid, it's not including 3. So now there's an arrow that goes on upward from 3. So we know that it's going to be everything greater than 3. So this indicates what x is. It's going to be greater than 3. It's not going to be 3 or greater, it's just going to be greater than 3. So here we have another inequality. We've got 2 times x plus 2 is less than or equal to 8. So let's solve it. First we have 2 times x plus 2, and that is actually what we learned in the last one, the distributive property. And we can solve this by timesing 2 times x and then 2 times 2. When doing that, this is what we get. Now we can subtract 4 from both sides. And finally we get 2x is less than or equal to 4. Now dividing both sides by 2, we get x is less than or equal to 2. Now looking at our number line, we've got the inequality on the screen. We've got a line going away from 2, meaning that it's less than 2, and then we've got the circle on 2 that is solid, which means it can be equal to 2. So basically, this is just showing that it can be equal to or less than 2. Now real quick, before we move on, I want to explain this inequality to you. Negative 4x plus 9 is less than 3. So to solve this, we're going to start by subtracting 9 from both sides. Now here we have minus 4x is less than minus 6. So next what we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides by minus 4. So here we have x is less than minus 6 over minus 4. And actually this is not true, because when you divide or multiply by a negative number when dealing with inequalities, you actually have to swap the sign out. So here we have a less than, we need to change it to a greater than. Now we can actually simplify. So when we have minus 6 over minus 4, two negatives, we can actually make that a positive. So 6 over 4, and then we can simplify this more to 3 over 2. And when we look at this, we'll realize that this is actually 1 and 1/2. And then we can realize that 1 and 1/2 is the same as 1.5. So x is greater than 1.5. Now let's talk about compound inequalities. Compound inequalities are inequalities that have at least 2 different equations. Those equations can be separated using an or an and. The or is represented with a u. The upside down u represents an and. Here we have x is greater than 3 or x is less than 1. Well, x cannot be greater than 3 and less than 1 at the same time. But it's okay because we're using an or. It can be either one. So basically x can be any number as long as it's not in between 1 and 3. Here we have the inequality x is greater than 3 and x is less than 5. Now this is possible because x can be greater than 3 and less than 5 at the same time. When you're using an and like this, you can actually write out the inequality differently. Here we have 3 is less than x, which is the same thing as x is greater than 3. And then we can put x is less than 5 in the same inequality. So this top part here and this bottom one here are exactly the same thing. On our number line, here is our inequality. It's going to be greater than 3 and less than 5 at the same time. In this little section here is what x can be. I went over a lot less things in this video than I did in the last video, but hopefully this lesson geared you for your lesson in Edgenuity. Good luck!